Next on the news.
Lumen Christi.
Christ is risen, and with the resurrection of Jesus, a powerful renewal of faith across the Diocese of Brooklyn.
More than 1,200 people, one new faith, and a lifetime of hope. I'm Jessica Easthope, and the Easter Vigil is coming up.
In the days leading up to Easter, the faithful walked with Christ through his passion. Holy Week services across Brooklyn and Queens commemorating his journey to the cross. Plus, you may have seen them in your own parish, Lenten pilgrims traveling day after day, drawing closer to Christ on a spiritual journey.
I'm very privileged, honored.
An eye-opener, an eye-opener. It was a real pilgrim. It was really worth it.
I'm Christine Persichetti. Currents News starts right now. Happy Easter. Catholics around the world celebrated the resurrection of Christ on Sunday. And in the Diocese of Brooklyn, that celebration grew by around 1,200 people. That's how many new Catholics joined the faith at Easter Vigils across Brooklyn and Queens. Jessica Easthope was at one of those masses and joins us now to tell us more about these new faithful. Hi, Jess.
Hi, Christine. I could see almost a sigh of relief when water was being poured over the heads of the catechumens and Bishop Robert Brennan was blessing the candidates' foreheads with oil. A switch flipped. It was a kind of quiet emotion that if you weren't there, you'd miss it. But we captured it. Take a look.
Lumen Christi.
With flames in their hands and fire in their hearts, more than 1,200 adults in the Diocese of Brooklyn entered into the Catholic faith at the Easter Vigil on April 4th.
Lumen Christi.
At the Co-Cathedral of St. Joseph in Prospect Heights, 12 of them, 8 catechumens being baptized and receiving communion and confirmation,
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
and 4 candidates receiving communion and confirmation.
Mary, Nicholas, Carlo Acutis, Joseph.
Took a life-changing step. One, Bishop Robert Brennan says proves the church is alive.
The church is very much alive here in Brooklyn and Queens. It's alive around the world. But we're thrilled to be welcoming over 1,200 people. It's a sign of the commitment of so many people. The people are showing their faith, bold, joyful, and unapologetic.
Candidate Israel Rosario says his faith journey was filled with twists and turns, but he eventually ended up right where God wanted him to.
I called my dad after church. He was like, when we came from Puerto Rico in the 70s, my family came here. So I found a picture of my late aunt and uncle and my dad on the stairs right there after doing communion. 50 years later, I'm getting my confirmation, my communion and confirmation, so it's definitely a full circle for me.
These new Catholics have spent 2 years completing the Order of Christian Initiation of Adults, or OCIA, and they all have a new faith to call on in moments of joy and despair.
Keep your eyes fixed on Christ. He wants to walk with you. That's the whole point of this week, that Jesus came to walk with us even unto suffering and death, and he conquered death by his resurrection.
I love to come to church. I feel at peace, most at peace when I'm at church.
Israel told me he thought his relationship with God was over at just 7 years old when his family stopped going to church after his grandmother passed away. And now, Christine, he's the one that's carrying on that faith tradition for his family.
Wow,
really
Jess,
special.
what an inspirational story. And he's not the only one. I'm sure many of the neophytes have personal reasons about why they came back to church, right?
Right, and that's exactly it, right? These are such personal stories. And for people who have left the church and come back to it, it goes to show how strong that call from Christ can be. This is the ultimate commitment that you can make. And that's also why we profile so many catechumens and candidates to highlight these incredible stories.
Absolutely. And they're not just gaining a new faith, they're also gaining a new community.
Right, and something, Christine, that Israel pointed out to me that's so beautiful to see. Anybody who's been in the Co-Cathedral of St. Joseph can see the different apparitions of Mary from countries all over the world that cover the ceiling. And Israel said that that diversity alone, he felt mirrored the diversity of the Diocese of Brooklyn and, you know, the faith family that now walks with him.
It's so true. Jess, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, let's break down the numbers. As Jess mentioned, more than 1,200 people fully joined the faith at Easter Vigils across Brooklyn and Queens. According to the Diocese of Brooklyn Secretariat for Evangelization and Catechesis, 605 people received the sacraments of confirmation and the Eucharist during that Mass. An additional 683 people were baptized along with receiving the Eucharist and confirmation at the Easter Vigil. This increase in new Catholics is part of a nationwide trend. Other dioceses also saw a big boost in people joining the faith. The Archdiocese of Newark saw some 1,700 people. The Archdiocese of Seattle and Washington, D.C. had around 1,500. The Diocese of Trenton had close to 1,100. Chicago, more than 1,000. And the Diocese of Richmond is reporting 900 people became Catholic this year. Currents News is planning to put even more of a face behind those numbers. We'll be airing a special talking all about the new faithful in the Diocese of Brooklyn, showing their journey to the Catholic Church and how they will add to parishes across Brooklyn and Queens. Just tune in next Monday, April 13th at our usual time, 7 p.m. for this Coming to Catholicism special. If you or someone you know is interested in becoming a Catholic, just contact your local parish and talk to your pastor. You can find the church closest to you by going to dioceseofbrooklyn.org and clicking on Parish Finder in the upper right-hand corner. Your faith journey may be featured and celebrated next year. Easter Sunday was the first full Mass the new faithful celebrated. At the Cathedral Basilica of St. James, Bishop Robert Brennan blessed Catholics old and new as those already baptized renewed their promises on April 5th per the Easter tradition. Although construction at the cathedral took up some of the pews, the downtown Brooklyn church was packed. During his homily, Bishop Brennan talked about how the resurrection fills us with hope, which is needed in a world seeking peace and respect for life.
Like the women on that first Easter Sunday in the last night's gospel, they went away from the tomb overjoyed, but filled with fear. And that's our lives. We have our precious things that concern us, but at the same time, we know the truth that Jesus is risen and that he'll get us through.
We have to follow him, because how are we going to live without him? He is our strong belief, who give life to us, support us in everything that we are.
Unfortunately, our country is at war, which is to me very upsetting. But I hope and pray that that comes to an end.
Bishop Brennan also mentioned it was encouraging to see so many joining the church during the Easter Vigil. For all Catholics, it's been a long road in preparation for Easter Sunday. That's the point of the season of Lent. But for a select few, it was a physical journey of faith, visiting a different church every day except Sundays leading up to Easter. Katie Vasquez joins us now to talk more about the Diocese of Brooklyn's Lenten Pilgrimage. Katie.
Christine, it's always incredible for me to meet the pilgrims that take this journey. They always tell me how much they look forward to it. It's not only a chance for them to admire the beautiful churches in the Diocese of Brooklyn that they wouldn't visit otherwise, but they tell me that that one-on-one time with God is so special.
After checking into the final stop of the Diocese of Brooklyn's Lenten Pilgrimage, Nativity of the Blessed Virgin Mary Church in Ozone Park, Lorraine Colasso was emotional.
Relief, but a little sad. You know, I know this is the end. It's been such an interesting journey, both spiritually and physically.
Of the 38 parishes, the Queen's parishioner made it to all but one, which was canceled due to the snow. But the missed day didn't pause her prayers.
And conversing with God and being in the presence of God, you know. This is no place to hide.
It was a demanding journey physically, navigating to the parishes of Brooklyn and Queens.
I got confused. I was a little turned around. I got off on the wrong stop. So I had to do a lot more walking.
Cheryl Charles understands that struggle as she visited 27 churches during her first pilgrimage.
Hard. Sometimes it took like an hour and a half. That's why I didn't do all the 38 churches. But then it was a real pilgrim. It was really worth it in the end.
Nativity of the Blessed Virgin Mary pastor, Father John Tino, was honored to welcome the faithful to his church, which has not been on the route before.
I'm very privileged, honored. I never had a diocesan Lenten pilgrimage before, so to have a final stop, certainly especially in this time of Holy Week, it's very special.
And these pilgrims will leave this Lenten season filled with gratitude.
An eye-opener, and each church is more beautiful and more unique.
It's the most important part for me. I mean, feel great in the presence of God. And sometimes in the past, it's been very hard to leave the church.
Of course, I asked if they plan to return next year, and they said without hesitation, yes. Christine?
Good for them. Thanks so much, Katie. On April 3rd, 2 shepherds led hundreds of faithful in a show of faith across the Brooklyn Bridge. Brooklyn Bishop Robert Brennan and New York Archbishop Ronald Hicks marking Good Friday with a Way of the Cross procession. The day started with the first Stations of the Cross at the Cathedral Basilica of St. James, and then the 2 faith leaders, along with countless Catholics, retraced the Way of the Cross with prayer, reflection, and song across the Brooklyn Bridge before ending the service at St. Nicholas Greek Orthodox Church on Liberty Street. Later that evening, Sacred Hearts and St. Stephen Parish held its Way of the Cross procession, faithful reenacting the death of Christ while carrying a glass coffin with a life-sized image of the crucified Son of God. The statue walked the streets of Carroll Gardens, faithful and Bishop Brennan praying the whole way until it returned to the parish and was met with an image of Our Lady of Sorrows. The procession is a more than 125-year-old tradition for the Brooklyn neighborhood. On Holy Thursday, Bishop Brennan celebrated the Mass of the Lord's Supper and took part in a sacred tradition inspired by a humble act from Jesus. Bishop Brennan commemorating the Last Supper during the Mass at the Co-Cathedral of St. Joseph on April 2nd. The liturgy also included a rite where he washed the feet of 12 people, remembering when Christ washed the feet of his 12 disciples. The Mass also marks the institution of the Eucharist and the priesthood. During one of the most sacred liturgies in Holy Week, the bishop and priests came together as one church. Bishop Brennan celebrated the Chrism Mass on March 31st, blessing sacred oils that will be used in sacraments like baptisms, confirmations, and ordinations in the coming year. During the Mass, priests of the diocese also stood together as the priests renewed their ordination vows. Bishop Brennan's Chrism Mass homily also served as a message to all of his priests that they do not walk alone in their lives or their ministry.
Our message, of course, is that we're loved by God, to remind you to recall that love, to know that Jesus is present to us in a very real way. The signs of this day are very real signs of his presence among us.
This year, the diocese also made an eco-friendly change. The bottles of oil that each priest took back to their parish were glass. To hear Bishop's full Chrism Mass message, just go to our website, currentsny.tv. Finally tonight, get some good stuff in your Easter basket, while some families in Greenpoint got their baskets blessed by the bishop. Bishop Brennan blessed parishioners' Easter baskets at Our Lady of Consolation Church. But instead of chocolate bunnies and plastic eggs, the baskets held actual Easter food like bread, eggs, ham, and some sweets. It's all part of a centuries-old Polish tradition. Each item inside the baskets represents health, life, spiritual renewal, and prosperity. What a beautiful tradition. And that is Current News. I'm Christine Persichetti. Thank you for joining us because we are putting your faith in the news. Before we go, one last look at the Holy Week and Easter services from around the Diocese of Brooklyn. Hope to see you again next time.